Folks, Juneteenth is coming soon, and many folks across the country are preparing activities and ways to acknowledge the end of slavery, the legal end of slavery. And so it leaves open the door who can do what. Well, in Little Rock, Arkansas, there was a group of folks that decided to show their support, I guess, for Juneteenth by hosting a celebration that they call a soul food market. Take a look at this, folks. A Juneteenth soul food festival and market being hosted and featured hosts by Rex Nelson, Heather Baker, and David Bazell at the War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock, Arkansas. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing about this. We can go and Keena, keep this. I want you to keep this post on, or keep this post up for me, please, brother. We can go into the conversation about what white people can't do and what black people should be doing and all of that. And when this was posted on Twitter, of course, Black Twitter went crazy because the conversation was about gentrification of black holidays. But for me, it opens up the conversation from a different angle. Instead of us getting upset, if there were an opportunity for white people and other people to celebrate black holidays, should they be given the space to do that? That's my big question. Thank you so much, Keenan. That's my question. Should they be given space to do that? And Shaquaya, I want to get your take on this because Black Twitter was not happy. But I know, I get it. And people are like, oh, soul food. Like one of the criticism of this is like, you're going to host a Juneteenth event, an event that talks about the end of slavery. And the best way you can celebrate it is to do it in a market style where black folks were sold as slaves. Okay, you missed the mark on that. Then it's like, oh, you're going to do a Juneteenth event that talks about black people and black history, but soul food, but you don't have any black faces to be a part of that celebration. So I'm not going to get into that because that's an easy conversation to get to, right? That's like, oh man, look at crazy white people. Oh, okay. That's too easy. I'm not going to get into that. But I think that we should get into the discussion that if you have well-meaning white people who have good intentions, well-meaning Latino people that may have good intentions, or Asian people that say, hey, you know what? I think there should be a Juneteenth event in my town or in my city. Do we have the right? And I'm saying we as black folk, do we have the right to say, no, you can't host that? Because there's no Juneteenth National Committee. There's no black group that owns the rights to the celebration of Juneteenth. So if somebody outside of the black community wants to do something to show that they are, quote unquote, an alignment with this idea of Juneteenth being celebrated, should they?
I think they should. And for Roger, I have to apologize because my Cocker Spaniel Cookie wants to get in on the conversation.
Oh, so no. Tell Cookie you need to chill out.
Jumping in.
That's all good.
Jumping in. So, the commemoration of the end of slavery, the formal end of slavery, not that which was implied through the passing of the Emancipation Proclamation, is rightfully, and as we discussed before, and it possibly becoming an observed holiday that you can receive a paid leave from your job for, should respectfully be celebrated by anybody who is inclined to take up the celebration. Now, though there is not an organizing committee, or there will never be a referendum upon which anybody can, go to refer to in terms of what is the proper way to celebrate it, and perhaps that needs to be created. But because of the open-ended nature of how anything can be celebrated in this country. I do think it is incumbent upon well-meaning white folk who would like to celebrate Juneteenth to confer with any respectful and or well-positioned arms, that I'll say organizations or businesses, that they would, they should be inclined to want to partner with people of color for whatever it is that, and however it is they seek to celebrate. When I look at that flyer, I'm not immediately opposed and or offended by the idea of a soul food market, but the issue that, as you already regarded, and people will take resonance, I'm sure Black Twitter has taken resonance upon, is seeing white faces, is knowing that the concept of soul food itself was born out of the establishment of slavery, in that people had to make something out of nothing and made it good. Right? We made it well, and therefore I question: are the vendors Black-owned businesses? Are there Black organizers of this event? Are there? And if it's not, and it's just a commemoration of the end of slavery, and they want to celebrate with soul food and have a marketplace with any type of business not particularly Black-owned, I question then who is going, like, what Black people are going to go into this space and challenge that? Because it's one thing to be offended and just have a lot of discussion or rabble rouse online about, but how are we holding people accountable, and how are we doing that in a congenial sense of wanting to actually see progress made, not just not just out of contention, not wanting to stoke issue with things just to have divisiveness, but how are we going to learn these folks? How older Black people be like, let me learn something. How are we going to learn these folks something, right? What is going to be the process by which we hold people accountable, and how do we assert our and advocate for how it is we want this holiday to be celebrated? If let me take another. You used St. Patrick's Day the other day, so I'll use this example. If Black people decided that they wanted to have an all-out go for green cookout on St. Patrick's Day, and we celebrated by not, acknowledging any aspect of Irish culture, but we just invoked what we wanted, who could say anything to us, right? They could say something to anybody who is Irish, who's affiliated with anyone who'd be a part of that celebration, could say something, but do the participants willingly have to change what it is they're going to do? No. So it just is a matter of constantly informing that which we want to be the culture and that which we want to be synonymous with this celebration. We have the opportunity to consecrate that in our advocacy, in our outreach, rather than just rabble rousing online. It's real funny. I love it. I love it when Black Twitter gets up in arms, but let's really talk about what needs to be done so that we don't see this and repeat, and therefore, can kind of lessen the blow when we.
And see, that's the place that I'm at, Shaquia. That's the place that I'm at. I'm at this place it's interesting, it's funny, it's good fodder for social media. Look at this, they crazy and all that. But personally, I'm not moved by that.
Yeah.
I'm not moved by, us making mockery.
Right.
On both sides, whether it's Black folks or white people. I'm not moved by that. What I'm moved by is just the fact that, okay, if we're going to be in a progressive place in this country, then guess what? White people are going to have to be a part of the conversation. And I know that people have said, well, we could do for ourselves. And that's true. That's true. But if somebody has violated you, and I'm just saying on a personal level, somebody has violated you, do you just say to yourself, they violated me, not put any responsibility on the person that has violated you to make amends for the violation? So you completely remove them from the equation of trying to do right by you. And you just say, well, they violated me, but I ain't going to bring them into the conversation. So therefore,
it's childish.
I'm going to just let it go. Oh, I'm going to forgive myself for being violated.
Null. It's such a null attitude.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. Like if we're talking about having very real conversations, and you said this, and I mean having very real conversations. I'm not, because we make mockery of race relations, right? But then at the same time, when things don't go according to the way black folks want to go, now we up in arms and we emotional. I'm tired of doing that.
No, absolutely.
I'm trying to get to a place that's like, okay, y'all want to do a Juneteenth?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna pull up.
Come on, pull up.
I'm gonna pull up.
Now, are you going to be serious about it?
I will pull up, and I'm not pulling up with a group of my homies to protest and just
whip your ass. I'm not doing that.
We're not. That is, see, I think that, which I think sometimes we don't talk about enough as a community aloud, and especially on platforms like this, which we're gifted and have the opportunity to do. Thank you, Roland. We are oftentimes reinforcing the divisiveness, right? And that we're not addressing it with a certain level of couth that can be received, or therefore we're not conveying and keeping on with, I think that we have historically, maybe at times when there are situations like this, cultural events like this, there may be an approach where we're trying to come in respectful, polite, strategic, tactful. But then on the other side of that, there is the up in arms, right? Like you said, it's the raucous. So I do not always see the levied effort to consistently chomp down these issues. I see more frustration and respectful to that which we experience all the time, grievances on so many different levels, disrespect on so many different levels as it pertains to our identity, our culture, our history. I understand the frustration that boils out, but in a situation like this, like literally in this example with this Little Rock, Arkansas Juneteenth Soul Food Festival and Market, it's nothing to pull up and say, we heard about this event and we wanted to see how it was done. Can we speak to the organizing committee or chairperson? And then you can have a sound conversation about what informed the event, who was involved, who was the targeted audience, what exactly is the desired outcome of the event. If it's determined that it's only supposed to be, opportunity for businesses to make money or to raise their visibility in terms of the restaurants that are serving in this festival and market, then that can be understood. But if there's another historical, cultural, if there's another desired outcome that's supposed to impact culture, then that can be discussed and partnership can happen. I've seen it. Oftentimes, let me not even say oftentimes, sometimes white people just do things to do things. They're not trying to offend. And therefore, we have to, kind of slip in and say, hey, what's going on? What exactly is the intent of this? And when we can reason and find whether it is intent to, respect or regard that which is related to us and our history and our culture, then we can, slide in what it is that we intend. If we recognize that there is intended disrespect or disregard, then we can cause all the noise we want.
I mean, I get it. And if this is supposed to be an ally moment, Jaquay, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to be an ally to the struggle, to the movement of liberation that have been impacting Black and brown communities, particularly Black communities, for hundreds of years, if you want to be an ally to that, it requires some very strategic partnership. It requires some openness. I mean, there are a number of things that has to happen. It can't just be, I'm going to take over the event, or I'm going to just take over the event. But here's on our side. On our side, we haven't codified any group to serve as the group or the coalition of groups to look at it. We still go back and forth about Kwanzaa. You know what I'm saying? Now we got Juneteenth. And there hasn't been any particular for Kwanzaa there has been what you should be doing for the 7 days and everything, and there's still room for your family, for you and your family to add your spin on it. But for Juneteenth, and we talked about this, we haven't codified what should be done. Now, if that comes from a Black organization to say, hey, look, as we celebrate this, let's do this, let's reflect, let's have story time, let's go do this. Like if certain things are codified, then that might be a different thing. But we can't get mad at anybody who wants to take a federal holiday and run with it the way they want to run with it, because we haven't concretized, we haven't codified how we want that holiday to be celebrated, right? And I know it might sound weird because you normally don't ask people. Like when it comes down to the Chinese New Year, right? You don't just dress up in any type of garment and be like, I'm celebrating the Chinese New Year. You look it up. What do you do for the Chinese New Year? What is supposed to happen? Same thing for any other, cultural or ethnic holiday. So, I mean, I just think that instead of using this as an opportunity to make fun of, this can be an opportunity for us to say, okay, fine. You want to celebrate Juneteenth? You serious about it?
Right.
We're going to have this celebration. We're going to work together to celebrate, but then some other stuff has to come afterwards. And that's why I think it's the missed opportunity. That's why sometimes when it comes down to Black Twitter, I just be like, come on, yo.
They just want to be mad.
Stop playing.
Folks just want to be mad, Yeah.
You just want to put people on blast. And personally, I'm too old for that.
It makes for a good laugh. It makes for a good laugh in the moment. It makes for good following.
Like, look at this, look at that. I mean, look, race relations in this country.
Impressions. Yeah.
Come on. And Square, you and I know race relations in this country is so dire. We're at such a critical point. We shouldn't be making mockery or laughing at any of this stuff. We shouldn't be doing it at the end of the day, because guess what? Race relations, the relationship between Black and white in this country is so corrupted, so tainted, that we all are suffering from it, both Black and white people. We have yet to really have, and we're getting, I truly believe we're getting there, but we in 2022 don't need to continue to make fun of the dysfunctional relationship between these two groups of people.
Correct.
We just don't have the liberty, we don't have the time to make fun of that stuff.
Absolutely correct.
We just don't have it.
Right. Because the impending feeling of a race war was very real.
Very real.
Between 2016 and 2020. Right?
It's the race war.
It still is.
The ongoing legislative and policy war that is being waged on Black people in this country, right? The cultural war that is being waged on Black people by white people in this country. We can't make mockery of this stuff, man. This
for whatever reason, white people feel like there's a cultural war on them.
I don't care about how you prepare a potato salad. I don't. That's how you do it, man. I'm looking at the bigger picture.
I agree.
My son going to have to grow up in a world where, once again, white supremacy is the order of the day.
Or that there just is so much divisiveness that there's racial supremacy across the spectrum.
Right.
And there's not this tempered agreement, understanding, and embrace of full equity.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. Hey fam, Patrol Grooming is a Black-owned men's grooming company that delivers on this promise every day to men everywhere. Everything we do, every product we make, is designed to help you to present your best self. It's a promise they've kept since 1991 when they first introduced the Bump Patrol brand, the #1 men's product for a smooth, bump-free shave and silky skin. Millions of customers count on their exceptional skincare products, which can be found at more than 30,000 retail stores in more than 50 countries around the world. Now you can have exceptional beard and skincare products that are as unique as you. Fellas, as we prepare to head back out into the world as COVID restrictions are being lifted, it's time to get our groove back. You can visit patrolgrooming.com to order a Patrol grooming box and do this. Use the discount code #Roland30. That's #ROLAND30 for a 30% discount at the checkout. We appreciate Patrol Grooming being a partner with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?